Hello and welcome to another video on my attempt to Rise 2400. I've just started playing in the Classic Arena, which is on every month, hence the monthly Classic Arena. Tournament's I think it's about 8 hours or something, or 7 hours for the day. I'm arriving late and I'm not going to play for way too long, but I'll play a few games. Right, so I'm playing an Alekhine as black. This is all pretty much theory. I think bishop e7 is definitely one of the best moves here, just to try and castle quickly. Knight c6 to pressurize d4, and then bishop g4 to actually attack d4 is useful. So I'm keeping my options open. I'm almost certainly castling kingside, but they don't need to know that. Bishop f6 is another way to pressurize d4, delaying castling and still leaving my option open as to whether I am indeed castling. Bishop e2 might be the best move here, but then I think I can take the knight. Then when I take back with the bishop, I can do knight to c6. I can't see what's wrong with that plan, so I'm going to take. If they take with the pawn, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Alright, knight takes here. So I might have won a pawn unless I blundered somehow. Now they do have bishop takes knight check, which they are playing. Then queen to a4 check. Oh, queen to a4 with a fork. No, they've actually chosen this option. Alright, let's castle the king. I could have taken on b2, but I am a little bit nervous about my knight being trapped. No reason for that. Knight takes e3 could be useful. d5 is also interesting. I'm actually going to reroute the knight to d5. Possibly taking the bishop was the best move, but this would allow white to strengthen their center. Yeah, knight d5. So I've got a very good minor piece on d5. I'm still hitting d4. I've got rook b8 coming, along with queen d7 to strengthen my center. Yeah, I don't really care too much about the c6 pawn. If they take c6, I will take the bishop, then take on b4. Yeah, they've chosen to play this move. And I think I can go rook e8. Again, just improving my pieces, attacking the bishop on e3. Yeah, rook to e1. Makes sense. Queen d7, protecting myself. Rook ac1 may be correct. I'm liking my position though, I do like this. Can I do knight takes bishop here? Pawn takes, and then like rook b6 maybe? Yeah, I've got a move that makes things okay. Let's do g6. Now I am aware that they can take on c6, that's not escaped me. But I do have a counter attack with capturing on c6. They capture back, then bishop takes d4, and they can't take back because they lose the rook on e1. So I'm not really losing a pawn. I'm trading off the c for the d pawn. Again, it's possible that I've misplayed this a little bit because they probably can take on c6 given enough time. But generally, I think my position's pretty solid. I'll still be equal on material when they take on c6. I've still got a fairly good knight, bishop's active, rook's on open lines. I think my queen might not be the best placed piece, so I'll have to arrange somewhere to go. Something along the lines of queen g4 might be good. Potentially with something like knight f4, sort of threatening mate, and potentially making them trade off their bishop for knight, hitting d4, which will be forever quite weak. It's good for me, they're still thinking, so it means I haven't totally messed up in this position. White may be thinking of something like h3, just some sort of waiting move, which does make sense. That is the sort of thing that White could play in these types of positions. But yeah, I'm liking how things are turning out so far. Difficult position overall. Yeah, it's a very, very tricky position here. Right, they're still thinking. Alright, that's good for me. What else could they be thinking about here? They could potentially do something like knight to e4, going after my bishop. I think then I can just play bishop to g7. That's part of the reason for g6, giving my bishop a hiding square. And then their knight on e4 is constantly being pressured by my rook. So queen takes c6 will still not really be an option. Maybe knight to f3, guarding their rook on e1. That way they can actually attack c6. It's probably the best move. I'm not sure how to defend the pawn. I could do knight e7, but that does look very passive. Then again, it does save a pawn, so it has a lot of pluses to that move. Just feels, just feels like one of those moves that doesn't actually achieve a lot. Don't know, maybe I do give up the pawn with, like, I don't know, g6 or something. Then they take me, and then, I don't know, my position's probably a little bit better again. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to go... If they go knight f3, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think maybe I'll... just go bishop g7 or something, having gone g6. Yeah, seems to be a reasonable move. Wow, they're really spending a lot of time on this. Looks like I've pressured them into sort of not really knowing where they're going. I'm not sure what to do. It's good. I think psychologically it makes more sense to sort of play the moves that will give you the best chance of winning. The moves that will, in a way, be good moves. Don't get me wrong. They'll be solid, strong moves, but they'll also be psychologically harder to deal with than perhaps what the best move might be. And I've always played this way. I think it's a good chess philosophy to have, because there will be some times when the best move literally forces them into a sequence which might only be a small plus for you. But if you play something where either it's level or they have a small plus, but there are lots of threats or tactical opportunities for you, they can easily go wrong and put you in a winning position. So g6 may not have been the best move, but it does have some pluses to it. And this is getting a little bit silly, how they're thinking so long. As you can see, I'm number 497 when I started the game. I'm probably a lot lower than that now. This is the first game in the arena. I think I'll probably play for about 2 hours at most. I'll have to split this into 2 videos, I think, because a 2-hour long video will be a little bit much to ask you to watch. So I might have like 45-minute to an hour long videos, and then stop, and then do another video. Person on the most points is someone called Arman, a string of numbers, 210404. So 31 points on a streak. So I think in these streaks you get 2 for if you win. Then if you win 2 in a row, your third win will be worth double that, so it'll be worth 4. And draws are usually worth 1 point or 2 points if you're on a streak already. But if you berserk, which is what I've done, where you get no increment and your time is halved from the normal starting time, so instead of 20 minutes plus 10 seconds increment, I just get 10 minutes flat. My opponent has 20 minutes, 10-second increments. You then get 3 points for a regular win, and you get 6 if you get a streak, and then I think 5 if you win. Is it 5 if you get a streak? Yeah, sorry, 5 if you're on a streak, and I think you get 2 points if you draw ordinarily, and like 3 if you draw when you're on a streak. So here they've done queen takes. I think my idea still holds up. Maybe it doesn't, but queen takes queen, rook takes. I have rook b6 if nothing else works, but I think bishop takes d4 because yeah, they can't take because rook takes rook. So I don't know why they're thinking. This is a fairly obvious move. They pretty much have to take the queen. It's possible they've just seen that they're losing d4. But again, there aren't really many options. They have done this. Okay, this was ideal actually. I didn't really know how to proceed if white kind of kept tension and played something like h3. Immediate captures are good for me, releasing tension. Solid pawn up. Got great minor pieces controlling the center. I've got a fantastic e8 rook. The b8 rook is now not as strong as it was because of the fact the b file is more or less closed. Now, can I take? Yeah, I'm going to actually trade. Yeah, I'm going to trade here. What this will do is if they do knight takes, I can then trade with the bishop, I think. And rook e7, I think I'm getting a solid position. There is bishop b6 as well, though. Or maybe even... I don't know. No, I'm just going to trade. Just play simple. Now, they're probably going to take with the pawn. No, they're taking with the rook. I was completely wrong. Alright, well, trade some more pieces. I'm still a pawn up. Now, this may be a bit premature to go into this ending. Because it's not exactly easy to win, but my idea is to bring my king round to d7, where I'm defending c7, and then I can sort of do what I want, really. So king f8. They're going to do something. King f3, yep, fine. King e7. Again, like king e4 would be my guess as to what they're playing. If they do king e4, king d7, king d5, I get rook b5 check. Alright, h4. This move is designed to stop me playing h5. I wasn't really going to do anyway. Now, can I go a5? I think I can. Again, I'm trying to trade off not all the pawns, but I'm trying to give myself a passed c-pawn. And they've played the right move. If they had taken me rook a7, pawn a6, king d7, they can't defend a6. Alright, I don't think I can play a4. It looks a little bit risky. Take. I mean, rook takes would be perfect, but I think they're going to do pawn takes. Yeah. Now, where do I go with the pawns? I think maybe king d7 is the right move. It gives my rook a lot more freedom to move around. Rook f4 is potentially annoying, but I think I'm fine. And I don't have any forks with d5. I'm going to set up the fork anyway, just in case they miss it. But oh, okay, perfect. They've missed it. Wonderful. Then free move, and they resigned. Wonderful. All right, so that gave me 3 points because of my berserk bonus. 284 out of about 1,700 players. And, oh wow, 2,400. All right, I'm gonna play risky here. Do a berserk. Almost definitely losing. They're also berserking. So we're in a mainline French. Alright, okay, French Rubinstein. Maybe I can take a draw with a Fort Knox variation. Like this. So this is essentially... Oh, bishop d3 is a bit unusual. Normally knight g3 is played in these positions, but okay. The idea is that I trade off my light squared bishop, and then then I'm touch worse, but I'm not dreadfully worse. So knight f6, they can take me. I'll take them with the knight. I'm not going to take with the queen. That would be a disaster. Take with the knight. I take on f3 fairly soon. Yeah, I think I can take on f3 now. Maybe bishop d6. Yeah, bishop d6. Just trade everything. Knight to e5. I take on g2, so they can't do it. And yeah, c3 looks pretty good. I think I can trade. Do I want to trade first or not? I mean, maybe I don't need to. Maybe I castle first or do some other strange move. The thing with castling is that, yeah, castling might give them chances to not go into this position. So let's just play simple. I think bishop takes knight is pretty good. Queen takes is pretty obvious. Then I'm going to go queen d5 and just attempt to take a draw, essentially. This might have something to do with the fact that they're 2400, but it's also just a quick way of equalizing in these positions. White's bishop against my knight is a very small advantage for white, but I'm not sure it's enough, given that they've got those double pawns on the g-file. And again, as long as I'm careful and I don't completely mess it up, I should be able to draw this. Casting queenside for white might be dangerous because of queen takes a2. But possibly I just take the queen and have an outside passer on the h-file. So I'm hoping they just take the queen. That would be great. And I don't know if knight takes is better or pawn takes. Possibly pawn takes to make sure the centre remains closed. Then, is there any nowhere to put my king? Oh, okay, they've done that. Alright, yeah, let's keep the centre closed up. King d2, alright. Castle queenside, maybe? Not sure. Maybe king d6 is best. By king d6, what I mean is king d7 to d6. This would centralize the king. Yeah, rook e1. I think I'm just going to keep trading pieces unless something better is on the cards here. Yeah, just rook a to e8. I'm setting a small trap. I don't think they'll fall for it, but the idea is that if they take my rook, I take back with my rook, and if they take my pawn on h7, I will end up winning their bishop with some traps. Like g6 would put it in a coffin where it can't move, and rook back to h8 would pin the bishop. But I would get checked actually on f5, so putting him in the coffin is the right plan. Alright, well, let's trade everything. It's a very, very simple way of playing, but it does do what it needs to do. Rook e8. I'm assuming they take me. No, rook e5, okay. Can I take it? Or is that terrible? Takes, pawn takes. Knight h5. Just don't know, actually. Maybe I don't want to release tension. Alright, let's just make sure that the h-pawn is never in danger in case my knight needs to move. Also, it prevents g4, which is a good space gainer for white. I am planning on taking that rook fairly soon, because it can't really do a lot. Unless rook g5, I guess. King e3. Can I take it now? Is it good now? Rook takes, pawn takes. Knight somewhere. Knight g8, maybe? Yeah, I'm going to take it, because it looks very, very simple. And offer a draw. Knight g8. No, they don't want it. They do not want to draw. Alright, fine. I guess I'll have to play it on. So this kind of ending, bishop against knight, is a very famous Bobby Fischer game where he completely outplayed his opponent in this ending with, I think it actually was a light squared bishop versus a knight. Alright, where to go? There's knight e7 or king e6. I'm actually going to play knight to e7. What this does is it puts my knight on a square I was going to definitely move it anyway. I'm not quite sure where to move with my king. Probably a bad thing, but I'm not totally certain. King e6 or king c6 will have to be done, but which way is a mystery. Anyway, Bobby Fischer outplayed his opponent in, I think, a light squared bishop versus knight ending. But in those endings, the center was more open. I don't think there were as many pawns on the board. In these types of positions, it could be the case that I have enough to at least draw. All right, let's go king e6. It stops f5, which is a good space gaining move for white. f5 here. I think I take it. They take back with the bishop. I take. They do. King takes d5. I think I can just go king g4 at the end. So their double g pawns are causing him problems. And c4, yes. Okay, so if I take, they do bishop takes, king f5, bishop takes f7, g6. They've got a pass pawn now. I can't do that. Maybe is b6 any good? Takes, f5, and I lose the knight. Alright, I'm going to have to play c6. I kind of wanted to go c5, checking the king, but that isn't an option. Now, they could like shove with like sort of c5, but I think I have knight f5 then, which would either win a pawn or force the trade, where my king is getting more active. Active kings can be very strong. So this is looking nice. And we're both down to about 6 minutes, but we started with only 10. So we've not even used up half our time on this game. A lot of it's been, out of the opening, pretty equal, and then just sort of trading until we get to an ending. So it's not the most interesting match. I generally do this against stronger players, because my endings are quite strong. Even by my relative rating. I think it's stronger than my actual rating. And, you know, gain a few points. Right, b4. Okay, that makes sense. What do I do here? Could go a5 and do something crazy, but that looks a bit weird. Do I go f6 or g6? I think f6 is out. Never play f6, Ben Feingold rule. So it's either g6 or are there any other moves? King d7 just looks awful. I'm not contemplating that move. It's terrible. Deactivating my pieces. a6, b6, takes. Takes is interesting, actually. What happens if takes? Bishop takes. Knight d5. Oh, then I have b5. And I'm going to get zugzwanged at some stage. I think. A6 might be okay. Then king c5 runs in, actually. They just run the king into c5. So I've got b6. That would stop king c5. Yeah, b6 would stop king c5. g6 would sort of reinforce everything. I'm not so sure which one's better. Let's go g6, because it does give me the idea of playing knight to f5 at least. That could be an option. a4, okay. Now b6 or knight f5, I think. So b6, what happens then? They take me. I take with my pawn. I just don't see what I'm doing, and I might get zugzwanged. Difficult. Alright, well does knight f5 give me anything? Is that a certain move? So knight f5, bishop takes knight is the critical line. I can't do pawn takes, that looks ridiculous. King takes is the only option. They could then take twice on d5, king g4, king d6, king takes g3, king to e7, then king takes f4, king takes f7, king takes e5, king takes g6. I think it's a draw just barely. King f4, king takes h5, king g3, king g5, king takes pawn, king f4 maybe, king f2, and we're both going to run at each other, and I think I just get there in time and it's a draw. So knight f5 looks to be a draw to me. Just barely. Only just, though. It's very, very close. And I could have miscalculated, so that's quite a long way ahead, so I may have done something terrible. What about b6? That looks safer. But can they do anything? C takes d, pawn takes pawn. I don't know, I just don't like it. I'm going to do knight f5 and then attempt to draw this match. Okay, so here they're going to have to do king takes pawn. There's no other option that I can see. Unless I've missed something terrible, which is likely, you know, I miss things all the time. So here, I just count out the moves, that's all I do, it's my trick to calculation. So it'll take me 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to take their G, F and E pawns that are on the pawn chain, and it will take them like 4 moves to take my F and G pawns. Then I can run king F4, king takes H5, king G3, king G5, king takes G2, king F6, king F3, and I'm always catching them. I'm always on the same file as them when I do my move. So that means they'll end up taking B7 at the same time I take B4, and then they'll take A pawn. I take the A pawn draw. So I don't think I can win this. I don't think they can win either. Hopefully. Is there some weird move I can do in the meantime? I don't think there is, because if they take me and I go H4, they take me. I take on F4. King D6, and I can't really see what I'm doing. I don't see how to win, or even draw it, because they then just have an extra pawn. So I'd have really, really mucked it up. Pawn G5 is an interesting move as well, but I also don't like that move either. Again, they can take me. I take back on G5. Then King D6, King somewhere, King F5 maybe, King C7. They're going to run the other way. King takes e5, king takes b7, and despite the fact they've got double g pawns, they actually prevent me from making a queen by promotion, and they will win. So I think my only option is to run my king to the g3 pawn, take it, and then double back and take the other pawns. I don't think I'm in time to take on g2 and then push the h pawn. I think they get there too quickly, because it will take me it'll take me 3 king moves plus 4 pawn moves, 7 moves. It will take white 3 king moves plus 3 pawn moves, 6 turns. So I'm not liking where it's going. I'm going to do this, king g4. I will reevaluate after taking on g3, because now I can more easily see where it is I am going. So king takes g2, king takes f7, h4, e6, h3, e7, h2, queen, queen. And white, I think, keeps the advantage. I'm really not liking where this is going. In fact, at the end of all that sequence, white could go queen e4 check, skewer me, trade the queens, and then take on g6 with the king, and they win. So I think I'm going to have to take on f4 and just hope I draw this. I have to take on e5, no other move. Okay, now just to make sure of myself, can I go h4 here? I can't because of king g5, so I have to go for this and just hope it's a draw. As long as I don't totally mess this up, I think it's drawn. Because I have a kind of opposition thing going. Alright, so they're 24-22 for a reason. Pretty strong. Don't know who they are. Looks like they're from China, I think. I think that's the flag of China. I might be wrong. So, okay, king f2. Yeah, I'm just going to run over. In fact, if they're not careful, they're not very careful, they might lose. Let me calculate this. Am I actually winning now? I'm almost certain I'm not, but it would be quite amusing if they messed it up and I was winning. Well, obviously king c2 is forced. So what are they trying to do? Are they trying to like run their king forwards or something at the right moment. I don't really understand, because I just go king b2. They're trying to go a5, b5, a6 or something. Yeah, king b2 just looks like a safety move here. Or a6. Do I go a6 first, just to make things easier? a6, b5's a draw, king c5, king b3. Yeah, I'm just going to go a6, I think. a6, king c5, king b3, king b6, king takes pawn, king takes pawn, king takes pawn. So I might even win if they're not careful. b5, okay. Can I just take them? Yeah, I don't want to let them take me. I have to take them. Then go king to b3, and then draw by one move. One single tempo. Had to just make doubly sure that I couldn't go king b2, because then they would take on a6 twice, then go king c5, king b6, and I'd lose. I had to be precise here. All right, and just take a draw. Okay, and then the key move, king b4. There's literally no way they can avoid trading the last pawn. Whatever they do, I'll take their a pawn, whatever happens. They offer a draw now. Okay, thank you. Right, wow, what a game. I got 1 point for the draw. So I was wrong. It's only 1 point if you draw, just like in a non-berserk game. I got a very tricky pairing there. Somebody rated 2400 with the question mark, meaning they might have only played about 5 games, so they could be even stronger than their rating. They could be like a grandmaster. I doubt it because they don't have GM after their name or before their name. But they were very strong either way. They seem to be pretty comfortable throughout the match. Alright, well, glad to have got that one out of the way. I didn't lose. And I'm still waiting for a pairing. Here we go, a 2000 player. Play what you know. Play e5, e4. I'll try to mix it up a little bit. What are they playing? e5. Alright, let's go crazy. King's Gambit. And the bishop's variation. This is very rarely played nowadays. Partly because it's just been sort of analysed to death, and it's seen as not being the best option for white. But the games you get are just absolutely ridiculous in these positions. White surrenders the right to castle. He's actually going straight for mate. I'm not quite that stupid. I'm nearly that stupid, but d4. And essentially both kings get absolutely pummeled by the white pieces. Now, knight f3 may not be the correct move, but again, it's the simplest. If queen g4, they just blunder into a loss straight away. After bishop f7, king takes, knight e5. So I'm hoping for that. If they go queen f6, which is the main line, I think, I go e5. Yeah, I think I go e5 here. Knight c3 is also a move, I think. Actually, I'm trying to remember what the best move is here. I think it might be knight c3. What is it? What is it? Yeah, let's try knight c3 out. I haven't done it for a long time. Knight e7 I thought was the best move, but no, c6. Alright, time to go e5. So I'm hoping to get an octopus knight on d6. They can't defend the f4 pawn and stop knight e4 at the same time, so this is looking good for me. Queen f5, okay, apparently they can. Bishop d3. Hit the queen. Queen g4, okay. Surely knight e4 is good here. Surely it's good. In fact, they might even get their queen trapped if they're not careful with something like h3 or knight f2. Yeah, this is looking very, very good for me. Wow, what a game. It's only 10 moves in and I've already forfeited the right to castle. They've moved their queen about 5 times. And it looks like they're not going to castle either. I either play h3, attacking the queen, knight f2 or knight d6. Knight d6 just looks clearly like the best move. It surely is best. I can nearly do knight f7, but I can't quite manage. Alright, let's attempt to win the f-pawn finally. And I think there only moves queen g3 if they want that pawn to stay on the board. Again, it just looks unbelievably dangerous to play that move. Okay, good. They ran away. Perfect. Right, now take the pawn. I'm now threatening bishop takes h6. Then they will take back and I'll take on f7. Oh, but their queen's hitting f7. Alright, never mind. What I also did was I stopped bishop takes d4, which was potentially a bit annoying because I wouldn't have been able to take with their knight because they could take my queen. But now my a1 rook is connected to the queen, so I'm fine here. Can I still do bishop takes? I think I still can. Bishop takes. They probably have to take on d6 and then things get crazy. If they take my bishop, I think I have g4 and their queen can't stay protecting the f7 pawn. Yeah, they have done this. Alright, bishop takes g7 looks ridiculous, so let's play it. Wow, rook g8. Okay, does g4 trap the queen? I think it does. g4. So yeah, this is the King's Gambit. It's obviously not my favourite opening because it's kind of playing on instinct, and there's so much theory that if I encounter somebody who has booked up, they will absolutely crush me without any forethought. However, this player doesn't seem to know the theory too well, and I've outplayed them in this very sharp position. Yeah, d5, sort of classic idea. I want to open up the king side and the centre with takes. They'll take back with the bishop, I assume. Then I can do a little fork. Bishop f8 is pretty much forced. Queen f6. I don't want to allow rook g1 check, which would take all the fun out of the position. I'd lose my queen. Now, king c7 might be correct, and I think just anything here. Rook e1 looks good. Knight d7, yeah, that's fine for black. Looks alright. Don't see any blunders they've made, although I'm trying. They've thrown a check, see what they do. Oh, king there, yeah. I thought king d8 was better, but it's probably still just losing anyway. Alright. Tap the rook, see where they're going. I can take on f7 if I need to. Yeah, and let's capture on f7. I'm basically trying to induce resignation, but they don't seem to want to resign in this position. I mean, I'm a queen for bishop ahead, so I should win this. Okay, rook g3. I don't see a fork with my queen. It's amazing. So I'll attack the rook. It's got... Oh, actually it has no squares. So they have to block with the bishop. Can I go knight to e5? Maybe I can. Maybe I can't, but it looks interesting. This must be winning. Yeah, knight takes. Pawn takes. So I'm hitting the bishop and the rook. They're probably going to do some weird desperado, so I'm going to just make sure. Yeah, they did do a weird desperado. Check. Oh, I don't know. Let's just try and give them material now, just to sort of drive the point home that it's not a draw, it's an easy win. They can't draw, is what I meant to say. Yeah, I mean, look. Okay, fine. They can get my queen, but I don't really care at this point. Here you go. Have a queen. Now I'm going to push. They're going to have to lose that bishop. I'm going to be 2 rooks up for nothing. 7. Don't understand why they're not resigning in this position. I've got easily enough time to win pretty convincingly. Yes, and they resigned. Good. Alright, wonderful. So I'm on 7 points. How long has the video been going? It's been going for approximately 40 minutes. So maybe I'll do one more game before stopping this video. Seven points, 200th out of 2,000. So I'm in the top roughly 11-12% of the players. I think another win or two should get me to like maybe top 150. And it has been, oh, it's a 6-hour tournament, so that means that it's been running just over an hour. So it wasn't too bad. I only joined about maybe half an hour after it started. Alright, 2100 should be an interesting match. D4 then. Again, I don't like repeating the same openings in the same video. D4 will get us into a new position. And the little white circle next to their name usually means they're offline or they're away from the board, which is not ideal. Okay, they've moved, good. Okay, so I play knight d2 sometimes. This is a way to attempt to trick people into playing something odd. But they're moving away from the board. This is odd. Okay, claim victory then. I mean, maybe they had problems with their internet, but I've found, not saying they were at all, that may have just been a coincidence, but I have found that people who keep on switching away from the board and then coming back, they seem to make moves very quickly and play extremely well. A lot higher than their rating sometimes, so read into that what you will. Alright, so I'm playing a... do I do Budapest? The thing is, I don't know, I don't get a lot of good positions from the Budapest. I'm going to try some weird line with c6. What this does is it potentially leads us into a Slav. Could also be into some King's Indians via transposition. For example, after e4 I can go d6. And we're in a kind of King's Indian type position. And I can also not move the d pawn at all and play something else. It just generally confuses your opponents, which is quite fun. So it would be a kind of, I think it's a neo-Grunfeld or a pseudo-Grunfeld, or just Grunfeld, if I go d5 after they play like g3 in these positions. And you're basically playing a solid version of the Grunfeld with a pawn on c6, so you're not losing the centre. It's a very, very solid way to play, but it does look a bit off-putting at first. e4 is the most challenging move, which is what they've played. Now d5 doesn't really appeal to me so much, because they can play e5 very comfortably. So d6, and we've basically transposed into a King's Indian with the move c6 inserted, which is one of the lines which I've studied. I think it's in the Grandmaster Repertoire book on, I think it's Avruk on his, Boris Avruk on his D4 Volume 1, Volume 2. I've got the very old original versions, which was released maybe like 10 years ago or so. He's since republished with a few, well, I say a few, quite a few improvements to his original works on what to do with white against d4. But he gives lots of lines that black can play. One of them is this c6 line. So I kind of know what to do as white and as black, because I've studied it a little. And black often can play e5, c5, sometimes even d5, very rarely. And, you know, they just seem to get something comfortable. Now, queen c7 is a move that I can do. I think e5 is the main line from memory. Yeah, let's do e5. I can't really remember what happens after queen c7, and I can play it next move anyway. White can play d5 here, which would clarify things in the centre, so I can then either capture them or play c5, depending on preference. And I don't really like closing games up. I like having open positions, so I'm going to take them. Bishop takes or knight takes are the common moves. Now, rook e8 is pretty good. Knight c5, though, is interesting. Gives me the bishop pair, I think, if they don't want to retreat their bishop. So knight c5. If bishop c2, I can go rook e8. And I don't know, I find that black has something here. Yeah, bishop c2 has been played, which is the sort of very natural move. It might technically not be correct, but to me it looks like something I would do. Now, rook e8 or queen e7. I don't often go f5, but there are some lines I think where you play f5. I can't remember. I think rook e8 just looks very normal. Then queen c7 or queen e7, maybe even queen b6, are pretty suitable. Now white could play queen f3, but then they slightly weaken d4, which could be useful. They could go f3, which they've actually played. I think Fischer calls it the lemon, when you have one pawn on the g file protecting the two pawns either side. Now their bishop on e3 is unprotected. I think I might be able to get away with this. Just playing off instinct, really, because this is almost like a hedgehog type position, where if black can get the classic break d5 in without completely throwing away the game, it's usually at least equal. So I'm going off of that kind of theme. And potentially white has problems with their pawn structure with that f3 move. It felt a bit wrong. Then again, I don't really see how they're protecting e4 if they don't play f3, so queen f3 might have been the only move. C takes. So I probably should take with the pawn. Yeah, taking with the pawn looks pretty solid. Then they take with their knight. I take with my knight. They take back. I take their rook. Yeah. Oh, actually, can I do knight takes? Interesting. So pawn takes is the obvious move. That's what I'm going to play if it doesn't work. But knight takes looks really interesting because what it does is it may trade off their c3 knight for my f6 knight, but that improves my g7 bishop, prevents any pins on g5 with their bishop, and it still has the problem where if they take my knight with the pawn, they lose the bishop. Yeah, I'm liking this move. Knight takes d5. So it will lead to a similar position anyway, but at least it will trade off a set of knights, which will improve my pieces more than it will improve white's. So overall, I think my evaluation of this position is that it's dynamically equal. Best guess, white's still a little better, like, I don't know, 0.4, something like that. But again, the position is hard to play, so I'm from a psychological point of view, white's lost their space advantage for the most part. They still have that e4 pawn. And black has activated their pieces, mostly. So psychologically, it's not as easy for white to play as it is for black. It's like it's trending in black's favour. They started off looking a bit strange with that c6 move, and has come back into the game and is now on the rise, hopefully getting an advantage. So having a good think on this, that's good for me. Yeah, knight takes, okay, that's what I expected. Pawn takes, so I've traded off a set of knights. Oh, didn't see that. b4, wow, that is brave, that's very bold. Right, okay, so with b4 they've opened up their diagonal. So if they open up their diagonal, that means I can pressure the knight with knight e6, I think. Because I can always take on e4 and attack it 3 times. Yeah, this looks good. I like knight e6. Also, if they take with their knight, I can also just take with my bishop and have a lot more pressure on them. Yeah, it's looking nice. Rook c1, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Getting out of the way. Now, what next? Pawn takes pawn, hits their knight, right? Need to analyse this. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes knight. And then bishop takes, then they take back with their bishop. I don't know, they still might have a small edge. Though I am getting rid of my isolated pawn. Yeah, I think I have to take them. I don't see what else I can do really in that position. And if bishop takes straight away, then they're they're really in trouble. So they're going to probably take my knight. I'll take back with the bishop. And yeah, I'm probably maybe a tiny bit worse, but I don't think it's so bad. And I'm going to pre-move bishop takes because I am down to 6 minutes. This may be a long sort of grindy type game. Then bishop takes pawn looks very obvious, along with either queen takes now or next move. And I'm hitting A2, they're hitting B7. Again, it's probably maybe a tiny bit better for white, but they do have the lemon going on, with their g-pawn being the one doing the protection of their king side. And for me, it's my two f and h pawns, which are more solid kind of anchors. And I've got a fianchetto. Oh, they took the queen. All right, yeah, that makes sense. Queen takes queen. Which rook to take with? E takes, and then rook a c8 looks okay. But after bishop takes e4, I might end up having my rook attacked anyway on c8. Potentially I should go rook a takes d8, and then I don't have problems where they take a pawn with tempo on the queen side, and I can take on a2. Don't know why I'm spending a lot of time on this. There's probably no substantive difference. Yeah, and I'm going to capture on a2 just to clear off anything bad about the position. Don't know what to do next though. Again, they've got some small weakness potentially with their king side, but again, it's not really worth anything. Yeah, I'm gonna play bishop d5 just to activate my pieces. Rook b5 might be a good move for me in the future. Also down to 5 minutes. This is not yet a huge concern, but it might be troublesome in the future. And they're still analysing it. Yep, rook takes as the pre-move. Alright, rook fd1 might be a simple draw. I'm thinking of offering one in a few moves. 21 moves in. Oh, rook fe1, okay. I don't really see what the... Oh, actually, do I have a little something here? Maybe I don't, maybe it's nothing, but what I'm analysing is I check them. They probably have to take with the bishop. If they move their king, I take the rook on e, yeah. So, I don't know, maybe I do have a little something. Take here. I'm hitting their pawn. It's probably nothing, but I do have something. Rook b1 is more or less forced, I think. And then b5, and I'm constantly on that pawn, and they're very inactive. Oh wow, rook e4. Okay, time to analyze this. Rook e4. Okay, need to spend at least a minute on this. Rook takes rook is the critical move. If nothing else, I can just go rook d1. So bailout move is there. Now, and rook d5 as well. But anyway, rook takes rook. Pawn takes. They've got a weak isolated e pawn. Must be good for me. Now, when they do that, king g7, king f2, king f6, king e3, king e5. Then I don't know, but I think I'm the only one who can win. So I'm hoping I can get a little something here. It's an annoying position for white to hold. I've always got the f6 move as a tempo gainer, so I'm going to first gain a tempo with b5, and I'm going to try and run them out of moves, because their g-pawn's going to have to stay where it is. Yeah, their g-pawn can't move, because if it does, they're in trouble. So that means I can, again, just waste time with h6. Because if I play h5, I could have done h5 anyway, so there's no reason to hold everything up. Now, where next? Can I go f5? Alright, I'm going to go f6. I'm going to break the rule, Ben Feingold rule, always play f6. I could have gone f5 anyway, but I'm sort of trying to waste as much time as possible here. Now h5, I think, then g5. So wait, h5, king d3, g5, king e3, takes. If maybe it's a draw. Yeah, maybe it's drawn. All right, h5 then. Yeah, maybe I should have done h5 move earlier instead of h6, but I thought I was giving white more options to go wrong. Can I triangulate with the king? Maybe king e6, king e3, king d6, king d4. Okay, I'm gonna try triangulating. That's a difficult thing to say. If king d4, I can go maybe king d6 then. Yeah, king d6 now. I'm basically trying to lose the tempo, if that makes any sense here. But I can't see how to do it. King d7? Can I go king d7, king over? No, I can't. Alright, king back to e5. Okay, fair enough. This triangulation trick did not work. Alright, so g5. Yeah, g5. It's an attempt at creating something here. I think king e3, and they just seem to bail out with this. And g4 doesn't give me anything. Yeah, king e3. What can I do here? What's interesting? I don't know. Pawn takes. Oh, sorry, I've got 2 minutes left, so I don't think I can spend a lot of time analysing this. Yeah, if I take them, it's just a dead draw. I don't think I can win this in any way. So g4, king d3, takes. Yeah, I actually might lose it. So, okay, I'm just going to play simple. f5. You want a draw? I mean, you know, what's going to happen? They're just going to keep following me, right? That's the way it's going to be. So we're trying to give them options to try and go wrong, but I think it's a draw now anyway. Alright, so I failed to win that. I thought maybe I was a bit better in the king and pawn ending, but they held it very well. I think maybe h5 instead of h6. That might have been the best option. Anyway, I'm going to stop the video there because it's been quite a long one, and I will go berserk first, then f5. Alright, so come back if you want to see me doing the Dutch. Okay, see you next time. Bye.